All right, everyone, welcome to our Monday night Wellness Warrior call. I'm super excited to have you all here. And to get started off tonight, I want all of you to give a hand to Robert Arthur. He's probably like, what in the world? But he is so great at leading these calls along with myself and a lot of the others, but just making sure that everything is put together in just the right way. So Robert, thank you for your servant leadership, for sure.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if everyone can mute their lines, except for the speakers for tonight, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to introduce Robert to all of you. For those who don't know who Robert is, he is a platinum founder here at Zallevo. He got there very quickly, and he's an incredible, he's a valiant servant leader to the core, like to the heart. So he's been in the network marketing profession for the past 25 years. He was in his past company for 17 years, where he and his wife, Joy, who he calls Honeybee, and they led a team of over 20,000 entrepreneurs, and he earned multiple millions of dollars there. And he's also a massage therapist and an outdoor mentor. He leads groups on outdoor activities, like he's going to this weekend, Sunday morning, if we're going to go on a hike. I'm excited for that. He is driven to empower and uplift others, and we're excited to have him host our call tonight. So welcome to the call, Robert, and I'm excited for you to introduce our guest for tonight and to welcome them to the call. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Make some noise or do
a
something.
We should have worn our party hats to the call.
I know. We have the party girl in the house. So yeah, the lady. Well, first of all, I love to do this. So raise your right hand. Reach out with your right hand. Reach out. Come on, play along with me. Now open over your left shoulder, and now pat the VIP of this call on the back. So thank yourself for showing up tonight. You're doing what most people on this planet don't do. They simply don't show up. And they're not growing and stretching and looking to be that next level version of a true servant leader. And in our case, along with being a wellness warrior. So also make some noise and some motion for Miss Jill Berth. Come on, give it to Jill. She's the reason we're here on this call. If it wasn't for her courage and grit, her and Kathy Horn paved the way for all of us. So thank you to incredible dynamic duo of leaders, Jill Berth and Kathy Horn. Thank you. So we were on a strategy session. We were on a strategy session together about 2 weeks ago. We said, who should we bring on to this series of calls? Remember last week we had Kirsty on. For those of you who missed that, raise your hand. I'll give thumbs up if you felt that the call last week was amazing. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't heard that, it's the competitive, using nutrition, leveraging nutrition as the competitive edge for endurance athletes. And that call is recorded. I highly recommend that call, whether you're an endurance athlete or not. It was amazing. And then next week we have lined up Jill. The lineup is Amanda Lunt first or Dr. Harper?
It's Jim Rhodes is next week.
Okay.
Yep, Jim Rhodes, and then Amanda Lunt, and then Dr. Dennis Harper.
Yay.
Yeah, we have an amazing lineup coming up. So we're delivering the goods here, and show up, bring your people, invite guests as well. So we titled this call, I didn't even run it by our guest of honor tonight, but I'm pulling it up again. And Udana, I know this resonates with you based on our pre-brief we did. It's dream again, ignite your heart, and grow. Yes, you see her patting. Yeah. She is incredibly all heart. And Udana, actress, screenwriter, multi-million-dollar earner in this beautiful industry. And she comes from the background of Udana, some of the ones, everybody remember Happy Days? Laverne and Shirley, some of those shows here. Udana was popping in there, bebopping around in those shows as a as part of the
Pregnant beatnik. I was one of the pregnant beatnik. Sorry, go on.
beatniks. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And then also Udana, you might have seen Udana. You were in over 200 commercials through the time in your acting career, and you're a successful screenwriter. And we're going to go into a little more of the story in a moment. And then you discovered, this beautiful industry. You had a couple of successful runs. One was with more telecommunications, and then wellness for, I forget how many years. How many years were you with the previous venture?
No, the previous venture, I was in it for maybe a year, but it was just, it was the last year they were alive.
Yeah, and the telecommunications.
Like flop, yes.
And then the wellness journey was, the previous one was?
It was 16 years.
16 years.
Yes,
Earned
it was wonderful. Yes.
Several millionaire, changed many lives, highly successful, learned a whole lot, and you applied yourself with some wonderful trainings and teachings. And then along came Zallevo at the right time, and we'll dig deeper into that. So when I think about this lady, guys, here it is, all heart. She's incredibly passionate. She's bigger than life. She's bigger than life in the way that she shows up in life and business. Yes, I see the thumbs up there. And she is a true epitome of a passionate, heart-centered servant leader / AKA wellness warrior. And this lady is amazing. And she spent a lot of time discovering and rediscovering and discovering again what brings her more joy, more fulfillment, more happiness. How many of you want more joy, more fulfillment, and more happiness in your life? All right, well, you're in the right place if that's some of your desire as well. So Udana, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. The culture here is so amazing. So you all are so wonderful. I'm so grateful to have jumped on this train. Really, truly. It's a remarkable community, and I'm just glad to be here.
Wow, it truly is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Udana, if there was one reason, kind of big picture reason why individuals, why this is worth your time, whether you're on this recording, on this live call over the next, say, 45 minutes or so we have together.
Okay.
What's one compelling why that we're going to bring value to our community here?
Oh, that's a good question. What do I want to bring? What thing of compelling value do I want to share with people here? Is that what the question is?
Yeah. What's a summary of what we're going to bring tonight? What's one compelling reason to lean in here and really listen?
In 10 words or less, right? This is a remarkable opportunity. These are very rare. Something like this is really rare. And in order to really live your full potential, because I have in my life, I've never met anyone who wanted to be a network marketer when they grew up. However, this is the only industry that I know, and I've been in the film industry, acting, performing, all that. We used to be able to make a lot of money there. This is the only industry I know where you can make residual income. Literally, I made a great living when I was acting, doing commercials, because I got paid almost $100,000 a year, year after year in the 70s and the 80s. And I thought money grew up out of the carpet in the living room. Same with this industry. This is the only other industry have it. The film industry, the music industry, they don't have residual income. So the important thing I really want to share with you is if you understand how the money works, and you understand that this is a self-development process, we can all together create complete freedom for ourselves. You can't be free if you're not healthy, if you're dragging around an oxygen tank. You can't be free if you don't have enough money. And so I believe that we're all here, these amazing souls on a physical journey through this three-dimensional world. And this to me is one of the greatest gifts I've ever seen. To be able to get paid to be healthy and get paid to help other people and to be able to set something up so you have the free time to live what your personal purpose is in life. And we all have something different, but we're in this together and growing together. Does that answer the question?
Yes, residual income, growing ourselves, becoming better people, not
Yeah.
alongside being more successful in business, and then being paid to be healthy. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And being paid to help others do the same. And Udana, I would like to jump to the end and then real quick, and then also give you some background about this beautiful lady and what has brought her, what has enabled her to grow into the leader that she is. Udana, with your permission. So with your permission, Udana, let's just tell them the summary up front, meaning it's about once you understand exponential growth,
yeah,
and once you understand the key to this business is all about and centered around relationships,
mm-hmm.
that sums it up.
Just about. The hard stuff is taken care of. You don't have to go to Wharton School of Business. You don't have to go to Harvard or graduate from Stanford. All you need to do is to, first of all, understand how it works, so that you're not climbing up the wrong tree. You know, you're not climbing up the wrong building. You have to understand how the money works, because it's gradual and it grows. And it's not about just selling things. This is about helping people find and create their visions, create their lives.
Wow.
Once you figure out how it works and you know how to communicate, then it's golden.
Communication, growing, and then you mentioned, and we'll get into this, you mentioned the foundation of it all is building healthy and lasting relationships.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now you know the last chapter, and now we're going to fill the book in. How's that? So, and Udana, I want to remind everybody, with your permission, that Udana, in your book of entrepreneurial journey and network marketing, you're not in chapter 1 anymore, are you?
No,
So how many of you are on chapter 1 in network marketing? Raise your hand, thumbs up. Okay. Maybe you're on chapter 5, 6, 10, whatever it is. Udana is through many chapters. Okay. So I just want to remind you all of that. Wouldn't you agree, Udana?
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, let's rewind the clock and let's spend just a few minutes here kind of running through what led you into the industry. Shall we do that?
Sure.
So rewind the clock for us, Udana. So this is probably taking us back a bit, but
Yes.
you were on the West Coast in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
You were a successful actress.
Mm-hmm.
Were you writing at that time, screenwriting?
No, I didn't even occur to me to write. I was just acting and singing and dancing. I was a dancer. I was in musical theater primarily. Yeah.
And you were successful, obviously.
Oh yeah. I starred on Broadway opposite Katharine Hepburn in the Coco. I was the first ingenue in Coco, and then back here at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, the Marquette Forum, and various other theaters, major theaters around, and had my own one-woman show for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And you were following your passion. You
Totally.
you were living life, and you were growing your art as an actress.
Yes. Yeah.
And singer, performer.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? I know one time you mentioned there was some major upheaval in the community. We had some strikes going on. So
yeah.
What happened about that time?
Well, as an actress, I had come down with a thing called Candida albicans, and I was starring at the Marquette Forum, and I went down for, it was actually 10 years, and I got well by nutritional cleansing, by doing some really difficult things, that nobody had heard about it then. But then when I came back, it was hard to get started acting again. And friends wanted me to write, I had some ideas. They said, oh, what'd you write? So I started writing. I became a screenwriter, which took about 5 years to figure out how to do it. But I loved it. I liked it because I got to act all the roles, And what happened, just as I had a couple of projects taking off, we had 3 major strikes here in Los Angeles. Like it was actors, writers, and directors or something like that, the three major guilds in the industry, and people were losing their businesses and they were losing their homes. And I remember, I've never seen it before or since. ACLU was providing food for actors at SAG, at Screen Actors Guild, for people to be able to pick up to feed their families. So everybody was scrambling, you know. And I had friends, a friend of mine, Mimi Maynard, who's a producer, and she called me because we have this mutual friend named Elliot. And Elliot was just hanging out in his Hawaiian shirts and walking around grinning. He wasn't worried in the least because he had this little network marketing business on the side that was giving him a six-figure income. So I showed up at this meeting and I went, what? How does this work? But because there was no other choice, and I had people that were friends of mine that were actually doing it and making money, I went, well, okay. But because I was a writer and I had learned to do research, and every time I started a project, I would do research. I'd just research, I'd read until all of a sudden the aha hit. And I went, oh, and that's what I did with this. I just started reading everything I could about it. And I realized that for very little money, because I had no money, for very little money and a phone, and I like to talk on the phone, like people, people were actually making serious incomes. Now, I didn't know how it worked, but I just started showing up at all the meetings, and that's how it started.
Wow. So maybe one of the first lessons in our industry is showing up, isn't it?
You show up. I remember I used to have to drive an hour to Northridge through LA traffic to get to the meeting. And one day I didn't have someone to invite. And I thought, well, maybe I won't show up tonight. And a little voice in my head said, you said you were going to do this. This will teach you to always invite someone. You're going to go, Udana. If you're going to do this, you're going to show up. And I got in my car and I showed up. I actually didn't understand it, to tell you the truth. I kind of understood it, but that's kind of why I'm so passionate about training it now. So people, I wish that, you know, it took me years to figure this out, actually, 3 or 4 years. I still showed up. It's like, oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Udana, I'm sure you've heard it before. One of my mentors talks about one of the most talked about or under-trained skill or quality is consistency in this industry.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yes.
The C word. So commitment and consistency are paramount in this, especially in any entrepreneurial journey. Wouldn't you agree, Udana?
I totally agree. Well, any business. I mean, even if you have a job, even if you're working at Starbucks, making minimum wage and a few tips and standing on your feet all day, guess what? You have to show up on time or they won't pay you, that you will lose your job. Yeah. That's one of the challenges about this, because people, well, oh, I'm at home, I think I'll do the laundry. Oh, it's too hard, that phone is too heavy, I think I'll do something else. So that's a real key. And there's solutions to that.
Yeah, there are solutions.
Showing up.
Yeah. So let's just kind of forward the clock a bit. So you obviously found the industry at a challenging time for many of your peers, including yourself. And yes. Once you did the research, you became involved. You became quite successful. This was a telecommunications network marketing company.
Yes, long distance, and it was towards the end of its life. Yes, and it was difficult, but I learned and I showed up and I started. I'm kind of a person who likes to understand the infrastructure, how things work. My father was an inventor, and I think I kind of got some of that gene. So I started figuring out how things could work. However, the vehicle itself wasn't really set up. And I found out later what to look for and what to avoid. And that's one of the things I like to talk about and share, you know, what's a good opportunity and which is just spinning your wheels. And, but it was really valuable. See, because I think every breakdown, within every breakdown is a breakthrough. And the bigger the breakdown, the bigger the breakthrough.
What was maybe one most powerful lesson from your first venture in the industry?
That you want to be with a company that actually gives residual income. They don't pay you just a lot of upfront bonuses to bring people in. I want to know that the people who are making their significant incomes are doing it because the product is spectacular and people are thriving and getting good results from it. Then you have a business. If it's only like electricity or long distance service, and everybody gets paid from upfront bonuses, that to me doesn't appeal, because I want to be able to have it bring value to people's lives. And when people are getting value out of an ongoing product that they're using, they stay forever.
Wow.
And that's the key to your marketing, your network marketing business.
That's the key. And now we're talking about, from there, you found your way into a venture you were with for, you said 15, 16 years.
15 years.
Yeah. And man, you obviously had an incredible growth journey.
Sure did.
Tons of gratitude there. So
Yeah.
what was one of the key takeaways from that 15-year journey that we can apply here?
Well, it was life-changing. Whether anyone wanted to do the business or not, I knew that their health was transforming. So I just felt the light bulb went off, because I didn't really understand the comp plan literally for the first year. I just knew if I kept talking to people and helping them. Once I realized that the more people that I could educate and help, because I love to teach. I teach singing and screenwriting. I've done that before in my life. The more people I can help, the more the company pays me. Then I'm saying, okay, I'm good with that.
The more people you could help, the more the company paid you. And
Yeah.
they paid you very well. You built that up to a multiple six-figure residual.
Yeah.
And
Residual income. Not only did I hit it, but then it just kept the same thing. Boom, kaboom. every month. We got paid once a week, but it was a lot of money. It is, that is a lot of money. It's a CEO's income. I started when I was 59. I had never actually earned, I earned a lot of money, but I had not earned that much. And I was never trained in business or finances. Hello. It was like, I didn't know it was a CEO's income, actually.
Hold a minute. So you never didn't have any of that formal education.
Zero.
And you were able to create that.
Zero. My instructions about money were shut up and sing. And I said, okay. And the money, I just thought it grew out of the carpet in the living room. I mean, it was just showed up because I did so many commercials. Remember those raise your hands if you're sure, the cop directing traffic? That was one of them, was me. Anyway, that's a long time ago, ancient history.
Wow. So
yes.
and that journey, so speaking of chapter 1 to chapter 30, 40 you're on now, whatever the chapter is. So everybody hear this? And you were in that first company for a good, what, 3.5 years, Udana?
The long distance one?
Yeah.
It was a year and a half or something. I mean, I was just a year and a half or something. I was just kind of struggling to figure it out. Yeah, we did some good things. Yes. I can't remember.
And you learned a lot though. And then,
yes.
then along came a venture with a product line that literally changed lives. Okay.
Yep.
And so you really ignited your passion, heart space there. And then you did learning all the time, and 15-year journey. And through that process, you paused a couple different times in that process to create some really cool processes, if you will.
Yes.
One is tied to, you labeled it, this is powerful stuff, guys. You call it the cycle of communication.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. When I learned this, I was in a business class. And when I learned this, I went, oh, this is one of the first things I have to teach, because I didn't know that. Because everybody was teaching, oh, tell everybody you know and go rah, rah, rah and teach them. And I was like doing pirouettes, I mean, just, and then I took this class in business school, and they taught communication. And there's a cycle of communication, and it goes like this. I ask you a question, you answer the question, and I acknowledge I got the answer. And then I ask another question and you share your answer with me. And I acknowledge that I got that answer, like, wow, interesting. And then I ask you another question and you answer, and I acknowledge I got the answer. And we did this over and over again. And I began, at the beginning, I realized I never listened. And a lot of people in network marketing are not trained in this. They're not trained in any kind of sales. They're not trained in any kind of business. And the first thing they're told to do is go tell everybody you know, whoa. And you become the person that they don't even want to invite to the funeral, you know? No, you go. So I learned that, and I discovered some ways, a little, what I call guided conversations, where you ask the right questions, and you never ask a question with a yes or no answer, or very rarely. You ask questions that are meaningful to the person, and then wait for the answer. And then when you get the answer, you acknowledge you got the answer. Wow, that's interesting. Wow, tell me more about that. Or you move on to another question, but it's always about them, because that builds trust very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, are you, this is really, who wants to be a masterful, highly effective prospector, recruiter, and team builder? Yes? Guys, this is gold. Anybody else agree with, thumbs up if you agree with this? This is truly the essence of the mastery of the art of connecting, which leads to attracting the right leaders, which leads to the effective mentoring. So can
I add one more thing to that? Because it was another thing that came to me in that same business class. Can I add one more thing? Because it was the cycle of communication, and then there was another thing called reach and withdraw. And here's what I notice about most network marketers, me included, because you got, oh, I got to tell you about this, I got to tell you about that, I got to tell you, and what you got to know more about this, and the more you don't even notice when they check out. Or if you're asking questions and then you lean into them, hoping to get the right answer, you know, it'll make people nuts. And so this thing called reach and withdraw is you connect with somebody and then you sit back and you just enjoy them. You let them, you withdraw a little bit. Or if you ask them a question and you're writing an answer down, you just get your little thing and you just, oh, tell me, I got a question for you. What do you do? What are you trained to do? And what do you really want to do? And those are usually 3 different things. And you just wait.
Hang on, that was 3 beautiful questions. I'd love to hear. Can you tell that?
That's what I start the guided conversations with, which is another conversation. But what do you do? What are you trained to do? And what do you really want to do? And those are usually three different things. And so everybody laughs.
What do you do? What are you trained to do? And what would you love to do? Yes.
What do you really want to do?
What do you do? What are you trained to do? And then
what do you really want to do?
Wow, that's a beautiful sequence.
So it's basically, I'm calling a lot of people, and I call them and I say, hey, you know, I'm putting a new team together. I think you'd be great, and I'd love to interview you. Do you have a few minutes? And they go, wow, yeah, what is this about? You know, and I said, well, just, you know, just a few minutes. And that's it. That's where I start. But it's not a yes or no answer. The beauty of it is it causes people to go, oh, what do I do? Oh, I did this, and I do that, and I go, oh my gosh, it's so boring. And I really want, I was trained, I really want to be a comedian. I want to work at Comedy Store, but I'm really a physicist, you know? Whatever they do, people have amazing backgrounds. And they start talking, start flowing about themselves. And you go, wow, oh my gosh, that's interesting. So there's yeah. But right. if you don't stay back and let them answer, they need to go back into their, oh, let me figure that out. What is this? And if they have to ask the question again, repeat that question. You just repeat the same thing again, because they're processing, and that's key. It's like turning on a water fountain. You want to turn on the water so the water starts flowing out. You don't want to try to push water back up into it. Because we all love to talk about ourselves, and I think that in our culture today, it's really important that people personally get acknowledged. We've all really accomplished some amazing things in our lives. And that's what I found out when I started using these kind of techniques, that how amazing people are and how rich. And what I found out was at the end of the day, instead of being exhausted from trying to push somebody to do something, there was zero resistance. You just love them and acknowledge what they did and let them tell you more about themselves, and ask the right questions that guide them to say, well, does this interest you? If it does, I'll send you some stuff. If it doesn't, that's okay. And people are like, we were working on some things with Mint. I don't know where she is around here, but yeah, people were jumping through the phone. Well, when, there she is. Yeah.
Wow.
So the cycle of communication, you ask a question, you wait for the answer, and you acknowledge you got the answer, and then just do it again. And then the other part is reach, connect with someone, and then just relax back. Because here's the answer. If you have somebody and you say, put your hand on mine, hold your hands together, and then you push a little bit, what do? They automatically push back.
Yeah.
And you push a little harder, and then they push back a little harder. You're pushing back. So here's what happens. When you let go, they fall into you. You want to give people time to, because then there's zero resistance. Because one of the things I found with network marketing, they go, oh, it's one of those, that's why I call this executive training for the franchise, this executive training for conscious entrepreneurs, because people have a misnomer about it. And they've tried to work with vehicles that are not appropriate to creating a six-figure income. There's some really good products out there. I use a lot of products in network marketing, but to do a business there's certain things to look for and certain things to avoid. And Zallevo is, in my personal opinion, is at the very tip of top of the list. Otherwise, why would I walk away from something else?
Yeah, which is a beautiful segue into kind of why, so we can all learn from that. And before we go there, as far as why Zallevo, Udana, do you feel in your heart of hearts that if you would have known more clearly about the cycle of communication, the reach and withdraw, how to really, this whole cycle of connecting, that would have served you exponentially even earlier on in your journey in the industry? It would have kind of helped you grow more rapidly, or did you really have to just learn that through the experience?
I think there's some things you just have to learn. You live your way into. Probably would have helped. I learned a little bit about it when I was doing that the long distance company.
Yeah.
And I developed some techniques there, but the long distance company was failing. It wasn't, I just didn't understand. I couldn't see the mechanics underneath it. And that was, yeah. So I knew a lot of this stuff and I was learning a lot of this stuff I had learned that, yeah. When I went to this business class and started doing some business classes, I learned this, and that was at the beginning of isogenics, and I started using those techniques then. Yeah, and I became really successful.
Yeah. So now, obviously, you reached a point because you were very successful. You earned several million there, multiple six figures residual with the previous venture. So just so we could all learn from this and kind of, which will help bring us clarity as we're connecting with people. And some people are already successful, in a given, community already. So why were you looking? What was different? What was compelling?
There was, okay. I believe this is also a journey of self-discovery. And I've heard it been called a self-development program with a compensation plan attached. So when you're making $320,000 a year and it just keeps coming in, it's really, really, really fun. However, I'm an artist and I had certain wiring from my childhood about relationships. And I really thought, the money coming in is really fun, but that's not what, if I can't have love in my life, And if I can't be an artist, God, what am I doing here? Hello, what am I doing here? Now what? And, but I had to get the money handled. But at that point, I had the money and the time. This is really critical. I had the money and the time to be able to explore things. So I had done a lot of meditation, a lot of different self-development things. And somehow I was paying an executive coach $750 a month for 2 phone calls a month. And it just wasn't moving any further. And he sent me to a thing called Family Constellations. And that started a journey for me to really start understanding some dynamics in my own psyche. And I became a facilitator for that over 3.5 years. It was fascinating. I've never seen anything as dynamic to that until I got to Psych K, which Pam McClellan introduced me to. And we both studied with Bruce Lipton. She went on to do everything, but that changed my life because you're able to actually, in like 15 minutes, change old subconscious programming, which is pretty astonishing. And to just change it like you're reprogramming a computer is amazing. With all of that, then it's kept coming to me. Now you've got to pay it forward. So as much as I want to write and make movies, I've got my own development company now. I'm doing a lot of stuff I want, but and I'm in a phenomenal relationship. This is 6 years now. We just have the best time. And I'm writing again. I've been creating a thing called a franchise. God said you have to do this because you have to put some breadcrumbs through the forest so that other people can free them up. Because I believe that we're all called to do something. And I believe that we all have, especially the people in this company. And I don't know whether you've realized it yet, but I just want to say I went to Jill's meeting in July. We had a couple of people there.
Retreat?
And
Yeah.
the retreat, it was spectacular. It was spectacular. Now, Pam drove 2 days from Eugene, Oregon. Mint came all the way up from San Diego to my house. We drove 7 hours to St. George. We got there, we didn't have time to put on our makeup or eat or do anything, even look pretty. We just showed up at Zallevo corporate with everyone and spent 2 hours listening to the founder and creator of this business and CEO of this business, Brandon Broadwater. We were so deeply moved. There was zero raw. We got the straight truth. We got the understanding. We got deep compassion, empathy. And all of us turned to one another and we looked and said, oh my gosh, if this 2 hours is all we came for, thank God we came. This was all we needed. Then we went back to Jill's house, spent 2 days with Jonathan. And I had some drama going on at home with somebody who was taking care of my animals and had fallen in the blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, maybe I have to go home early. Or I finally said, I have to stay. And I found somebody, I hired somebody to come in that I know dear, took care of everything that had to be taken care of and stayed. And it was one of the profound transformational moments. So I just want to say that if you can be there, get there, because it's really, really profound. That's what I can say.
Yeah, that's what we're all getting. The more you're around the team, the founders, who's behind this, and the field leaders combined, the corporate leaders, the field leaders.
Yeah,
it's truly a very unique set of core values, faith-based values. You know, the servant leadership is not just words on a page. It's actually, you know, how we all approach life and much less build a business. So
yeah, it's really nice to be surrounded by a lot of people who have that from their own point of view, because we all have different spiritual journeys, you know?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And you know, Udana, part of it also is, I know you mentioned on the pre-brief you and I did last night that you talked about even the title of the call that I just kind of put in here. It ignited your heart space, your joy, your happiness. You just we're struggling with that. So Zallevo came along and you're reignited again. You're passionate again.
Yeah.
So that's priceless.
it is priceless. And it came a week after the Whey Shakes came out.
Good timing. Yeah.
And I had finished the franchise. It was all complete. It took me over a year to do. And then my back went out and I kept trying to push on the door button, pull, and it was that way. And then finally everything got straightened out. I found the right person to help me. I had a neck injury that had been old and blah, blah, blah. But my feeling was it was the universe going, we don't want her running down the wrong road. It's going to be a little bit, Udana. And it wasn't until late April, that we found this. The Whey Shakes had literally just come out. And I had some friends, people I love, who were longtime family friends. And one of them, he and his wife had been my customers since 2005. And they had to stop using the other products because his wife was genetically disposed to having Alzheimer's, and they weren't playing with that. And so it has to do with insulin resistance. There's parts of it that have to do with that. And I thought, who can I call? Who can I call and get a really good answer? I thought, oh, Jim Rhodes knows about insulin. And because it was critical, because it was absolutely critical. And they couldn't do the other products because they couldn't do them anymore and hadn't for a couple of years. Once I got them and I started hearing the science, it wasn't rah, just, do whatever. It was the deep science behind it. I went, oh, and that opened up the door. That opened up the door.
So, and that's kind of a fundamental lesson that we all train on. You reached out to somebody who had the expertise and the passion and the know-how, with Jim, and then obviously Kirsty and the team there. So you leverage that, and you're right, with a dear loved one and family, close friend, you had to find answers. And so
I had to find it. And I have to find answers for myself. I can't play around with my health. I'm at an age where I want another 30 live, wonderful years, living fully alive. And I don't want to play around with it. I want to go, this is a rocket ship. This is a rocket train directly to where I want to go.
Yeah.
With 2021 technology, in 2016 Nobel Prize winning science. Hello?
Does everybody realize that? The Nobel Prize, what she's referring to is the Nobel Prize in Science and Medicine. One of the key ones, it was focused on autophagy. And we're supporting individuals through autophagy better than any company on this planet, on this beautiful planet. Okay. And then we back that up. Alongside of that, we have the perfect, full spectrum meal replacement. We have the perfect, stress balancer, the adaptogens, and we have the ideal, no carb, no protein, no fat, burn mode, and then the E-Vibe. So we have a beautiful formulations. So, from this point, how about we open up the call? I know we talked about, hopefully you've written, you've already given us so many nuggets and boulders, if you will, as far as keys and nuggets and how-tos. I do love your cycle of communication. It's all about relationships and the residual income, but it's all built on these life-changing formulations and servant leadership. So let's pause a minute. Jill, Kathy, come on here. Let's a few more questions, comments, open up the call here, open up the line.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat or just unmute yourself and come on. And Udana, I've had people texting me and reaching out. They're like, we need her to do a training at your retreat. We need her to, to train and so we definitely will have you on the agenda for September because you're planning on coming, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for September. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Incredible. Udana, with your experience in all of the things and everything that you've been putting together for the last couple of years as well, you just know so much, and I'm excited for you to teach at some point the numbers. What's it called? What do you call it? The
Exponential growth.
Exponential growth.
Exponential growth 1 and exponential growth 2. Yeah.
Yeah, she has an entire series on that. That's incredible. So we'll be hearing lots from you, Donna, for sure. So does anyone have any questions for you, Donna? Kathy, do you have anything?
I saw.
Cindy.
Yes. Hi, Udana. I really have enjoyed listening to you. Your story is amazing.
Oh,
The art of asking questions is so important, and through previous network marketing companies, I've had some training on that, but it's something that we always need to be reminded of and trained on more. And just wondering if that would be a possible training that you can do. I know have you heard of Michael Oliver? He wrote a book called How to Sell Network Marketing Without Losing Your Friends and Family, or something like that.
no, I have. It's a very good idea.
It's a non-selling approach, and it's just really good. We got to hear him in person and do a training one weekend with him on the art of asking questions. And I have his book somewhere. I need to reread it after listening to this call and just hearing some of the great questions that you came up with. But I think what was important, what you said, was that when you ask a question, just to be quiet and really just, wait for the answer. And sometimes that is the most uncomfortable thing, is just kind of sit back and just be quiet for a little bit. First of all, you got to be brave enough to ask the question, and whatever question that might be, and then to sit back and wait for them to answer without you feeling like you need to fill in the blanks, kind of thing. So yeah.
That's really, really important. You don't have to fill in the blanks, especially when they start going down and thinking about I want to say, because they're thinking, they're processing, and that's very valuable when they're going. So basically, wait a minute, let me see. I have a thing I call the guided conversations, but I'm teaching my team. When we're ready, we can show it to you. But that's it. This is the questions. I ask the same questions over and over, and I just fill in the blanks.
Oh, wonderful.
And then it just leads them right down to, well, how do you like that? And tell me more about this, and how in a specific order for different specific reason. So that's another conversation. But that thought of waiting for the answer is really important.
Yeah.
And acknowledging the answer, even if it's just a wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people will just say, I don't know, if you ask them a question, and then just say, well, if you did know, what do you think you'd say? And you kind of try to pull it out of them more. And I really love that too. And so that's a very, very important training. I don't think there's hardly anything more important than learning how to work on the relationships with people and asking the right questions.
Yeah, you're right. I believe you're right about that.
Yeah, that's the key to mastery. I think we all agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Cindy. Barbara, you have your hand up, my dear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
A friend of ours has been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and one of my grandchildren is a type 1 diabetic. What would be a good way to approach them? Because right now her mom is not really open to.
I would set up a call with Jim. I don't know. That's what I would do. He's a type 1 diabetic. He's talking about that a lot. And he works with Professor Bickman, I think is his name, who's written a book about insulin resistance and all the new findings about it. I just bought the book. I haven't even opened it yet. So, but I don't have that background, but Jim has been a nutritionist for over 50 years, and he's lectured at Harvard.
Okay.
And he knows a lot about insulin. So that's where I reached out to. Thank you.
Great answer. Those three-way calls, Barb.
Yeah, you're right. A three-way call, by the way, a three-way call is about 100 times more potent than a two-way call, just so you know. When you bring a third party into the call, it's what a friend of mine called an expert from afar. Even if you've been in 2 weeks, there's an expert coming in. It's just really fascinating.
Yeah, it is. Even the veterans, a veteran network marketer will still be doing a ton of three-way calls because they know it's about leveraging the community. And so back to Barb's question, though, think of the question to those individuals, like, what are your thoughts around really learning about the ins and outs nutritionally and wellness wise? Would you like to learn the mechanics of what's happening in your body when you're going through a journey like diabetes? Would you like to know what's happening inside? They'll say typically yes. Well, then when can we do a call with my good friend who's a master nutritionist?
And the latest science about insulin resistance, because that's what he's up to.
Yeah, and versus insulin sensitivity. Yeah. All good. And we have a call on that too. You could share with them as well. Remember, we recorded that call with Jim that we did on insulin resistance. Great questions, aren't they, Jill?
Oh, there we go. Absolutely. Yes, such great questions. Do we have any other? Oh, we have Mint. If you want to unmute yourself.
There she is.
Your phone.
There you
Hi.
are.
Hi. I am learning so much about listening. I'm enrolled in Udana's executive listening course. It's absolutely phenomenal. So there's so many layers to the benefits, and it's when life is really handing you things and you're getting kind of, pulled in a lot of different directions, having those efficient listening skills can really just help from going down the wrong path. So, and guiding people. So in regards, in my opinion, which nobody asked me for, but I've learned the hard way that I can't want for somebody who doesn't want for themselves. So in approaching people that I know that this could help them, but if they're not ready to hear it, there's nothing for me to say. So I live by example, and I talk about my lifestyle. Oh, I feel so much better. My knees used to hurt so much, but since I started these shakes, I just started losing weight just left and right, and now my knee, I'm just so comfortable all the time. And, eventually people, if they want, you'll listen when they're asking, when they're reach and withdraw. Okay, there it is. Oh, so what are you doing? What are you eating? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. What are you eating? Oh, Udana was right. The lady was jumping through the phone. I love her so much. She goes, man, you better tell me right now.
Yeah.
So being patient, because maybe next month they'll be ready. And so building relationships is the most important thing, holding space for people until they're ready. So I think, like Udana, 2 years knocking on my door, I have the answer for you whenever you're ready. Just checking in on how you doing. And eventually I'm like, okay, I heard the right thing. It was the right time. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. And that was it. 2007, it just blew the doors open for me and revolutionary, well-being, fabulous. So having this vehicle of Zallevo with, really current technology. And my favorite New Zealand way, I'm a whey consumer. I am.
Me too, Mint. Me too.
Truly is a gift. Thank you, Mint. Thank you. Obviously, your passion is lighting us loud and clear. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you wait till you hear her song about autophagy. You guys are really gonna love it.
Autophagy.
When did we get to hear it? We've been hearing about this song. I want to hear the song.
We have on our plate. She not only went to St. George and back, she works 10 hours a day, and she packed up her house and moved over the weekends and did all of these calls and promoted herself. So we just haven't had time to work on the song altogether, but she has a lot of it done.
Yes.
This is when you withdraw. This is when you pull back and make them, start making offers.
Yeah. We have one last question, then we'll ask for a closing comment. Udana, it's a kind of a classic apropos question because many of us have been in previous ventures before. So what's your favorite go-to, just off the cuff, what's your favorite go-to invite or connector, if you will, to?
Oh, my favorite one. There's
Or-
amazing. Are you talking about how I meet people out and how I find people?
Yes, but specifically individuals that you've worked with in the past, maybe in a previous venture. That's the question on the chat.
Oh, I've been very, very careful. I don't want to hurt anyone else's business. I left quietly because I really made a decision. I did some research and I took my time and I evaluated. I love people and I love the company. I don't want to hurt anyone. People knew me a lot, and I just stepped back for a while. So I don't really reach out. I've reached out to a couple of people, just personal people who had taken the franchise before.
Yeah.
And, because I had some beta teams go through last year as I was developing it and stuff like that. But I'm careful about that because I don't want to hurt other people's business. And I also don't want legal coming after me. It's like,
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm not taking anybody else's people, because you can only really talk to people that you brought into the company there. But I can share how I meet people outside. It's phenomenal. It's so much fun.
Sure.
I just see, if I meet someone, and I was over at Joann's, I was getting some fabric. I love to sew. That kind of calms me down. I just love to sew. So I was picking up something, and as I was walking in, the girl said, "Hi," from behind, and I went, "Hi." And then somebody coming back, and I was getting a few things, and she was just fabulous. I said, "Oh my gosh, you've got great energy. What else do you do? What do you?" She says, "Oh," I said, "Are you ever looking for other ways to make money?" She said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "Great." And I opened my phone. And I opened up, where is it? I opened up to my thing, and let me go here. And I opened up to a new contact. I handed her my phone. I said, "Here, put your name and number here." And I said, I want to interview you for my team. I think my team would love you." And she goes, "Okay." And then I made a snapshot of it like that. What do you do this? What do you do on an iPhone? Okay, there it is. And you take a little snapshot of her name and it goes into my photos. So now I remember who I talked to. And then I'll go home maybe later that evening. I'm getting ready to, now after this, I'll call her later and I'll walk her through the interview. I'm looking for a few people. What do you do? You tell me about yourself. Do you mind if I ask a few questions? And they always say, "Yeah, okay." I say, "What do you do? What are you trained to do? And what do you really want to do?" Those are usually 3 different things. And just listen. And I walk them through the interview. And usually by the end, they're going, "Oh yeah, well, if you'd like, so that's kind of what I do. And you can do it all day long. It gets away from having those 2-hour phone calls trying to talk your friends into doing something. If you're making a 6-figure income or a multiple 6-figure income, that's an executive's income. Now, if an executive said, "Oh, I'm going to hire someone to open up a new division," what's the first thing you would do? If you were making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, just, the first thing you do is, think, what do I, you'd interview them. Hello.
Yeah, that's a wonderful approach because we truly are interviewing them to see if we match up core value wise. So if they come on board, we're going to spend a lot of time together. You want to see if you mesh.
Yeah, and you also want to let them know, see if this would be a good fit for you. Are you interested? See if this would be a good fit for you. And then they tell that, and then you ask them what would they really want? What were they looking for? What would they want to avoid? And well, if I could give you all of those things, would you be interested?
Yeah.
Or would you be definitely interested or might be interested? And they go, "Yeah." And if they're not, then that's okay. Tell us, what would you change about your health if you could? And it's just real simple, but it's all about them talking about themselves.
Yeah, which
you can do that literally all day long.
All day
People
long.
say there's nobody to talk to. That's not true. And you can do it on, we have a whole training program, an executive listening program You can do it all day long. Hey, I got to do 100 of these interviews. Would you help me out and answer a few questions for me? Oh, what are they about? Oh, they're just fun things. You learn so many things about yourself. Take about 10 minutes, but help me. I've already done 4. I only have 96 more to go. And everybody laughs and okay. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary is what it is.
I love it. I love the opener or the invite. I would like to interview you for my team. I just love that approach. So thanks.
Yeah.
That's a big nugget takeaway. And then a big chunk of the interview is that, what do you do? Okay. What are you trained to do? What do you really want to do? And then through that process, you're listening and then pulling back, withdrawing, reaching, connect.
You connect. And then it's designed to go, we'll do another training. That's a whole other training. It's really specific. And but that's what I'm putting together now. I'm rewriting the whole thing. And I've already got that part of the communication series done, but there's some more things that I want to put in it. But I really wanted to, there's so many things that people don't understand about this industry. And like when I was making a ton of money and I understood what exponential growth was. So just let me at it. Just let me at it. Wait a minute, this works great. I can help a lot of people. Let me at it. Because I had 46 cents in the bank when I started this journey. Literally 46 cents in the bank. And I was working and word processing and making it month to month. But the films that were getting ready to take off were all submarined by the strike and other things. It's a really nasty business. It's a really difficult business, especially for writers in this industry. So I needed it, but I understood residual income. It doesn't happen. If you get 1 penny doubled every day for a month, the first week it's silly. You can't even buy a cup of coffee with it. At the end of the second week, you're going, yeah, right, okay. And at the end of the third week, you're going, what? And then it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. How many know that equation? Yeah. I have a little form and everybody writes out the answer. Because if you write it down and you're thinking about it, you're processing it with your hands and you're using hundreds of muscles here and your body's going, oh my gosh, and it's going into your brain. And by doing it by hand, not say, hey, I know that. You're doing it by hand, you go, oh. Because if you chose $1 million, you'd have been leaving $9 million on the table.
Yeah.
Then if you say, now we're not going to do just pennies, we're going to do people ordering food that they eat every month. Let's look at what that's like. It's like, and then we do the numbers for that. So it's all done in little gradients so you can absorb it and apply it and understand it and get it into your bones. Because once you get it, it's like somebody, your ancestor buried, gold coins, a huge thing of gold coins somewhere in your backyard, and they're worth millions of dollars. So tell me, if you knew that and you had a map to where it might be, would you actually go get a bulldozer or a shovel and start digging?
You'd find it.
I think so. This is it. This is all it is.
Yeah, because our gold mine is actually in people and the relationships.
That's right.
And who are eating the food. So Udana, I just obviously make some energy noise if you love Udana and her energy, and you're very grateful for this beautiful lady.
It's
So,
great.
Jill, let's
Awesome.
do.
Thank you so much.
Let's make some noise too, Jill. Let's do 1, 2, 3, guys. Everybody. We have some announcements, but we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and thank you, Donna. Stop the recording, and then Jill has a couple of announcements, guys. So unmute your lines. We're going to make some noise here for you, Miss Udana. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Lots of nuggets.
Incredible. We love you.
Awesome.